Hi there, fans. It's your favorite farmer Steve with your end of August update on Better Get to Know a Garden. It is a beautiful end of summer day. There's just a hint of fall in the air. Things are coming together a little bit better than I expected for the year, and I think we're going to be successful for the most part. I'll show you some of the fruits of the labor and take you around and get an idea of how things have progressed. Some things are actually done now and they're starting to go, which is par for the course. It's been a long, hot stretch, but the garden has survived. And without any further ado, let's take a tour. Here's some of the bounty from Steve's Organic Farm. These are the green beans that Carol has frozen. Now, we've eaten probably 3 pots of these things already, and there's some more to pick that you'll see later, but they have been delicious. This is what's the dill harvest so far. Last year I let the dill go way too long and it was all brown and nasty, but this year I did it right and got quite a bit. And unfortunately this is all that's left of the garlic. I'll show you more about replanting the garlic. This is what you plant. You just plant the pods and you plant it with the flat side down, as my spiritual advisor Brian has taught me to do, and he's donated some of his garlic to the cause. Okay, here's the pro tip of the month, and you can see this is called Potassium Bicarbonate, which is used by wine and beer makers to adjust the pH. It's very slightly alkaline, but it also has the great benefit for gardeners and farmers of killing and stopping the powdery mildew and many other plant funguses, as you'll see the results as we go down in the garden. So get yourself some potassium bicarbonate and to spray your, especially the very susceptible plants like tomatoes and cucumbers, but pretty much anything. And you put in 1 tablespoon per gallon plus a few drops of some soap just so it sticks to the leaves better. So this is the Monarch Birthing area. You can see the contraption that is here to for the butterflies. There's one of them getting ready to make a cocoon. There's one in a cocoon right there. There's several of the caterpillars still growing. Carol's already birthed 2 of these. Take you around a couple other wonders and sights of the Kingswood Studios. This is Carol's Wildflower garden. These are the cosmos mostly, but there's some zinnias and there's some what are they called? Not coreopsis. Can't think of it. I'll think of it here in a minute. That she plants every year, and these things she collects the seeds and puts them in, and they are just wonderful flowers. They require no water, no care. They come up. They're beautiful for a long time. Now, these are some puny little Juliet tomatoes that we do really love for salads, but this is what happens if you plant the tomatoes in the same spot every year. They get this fusilium, and you can see what happens. It gets in the soil. There's nothing you can do about it. I think she's just going to have to find a new spot next year. Other disease-bearing sites. Here's a $200 brand new, planted this year, Colorado blue spruce standing dead. There was another blue spruce here last year, quite a big one, and it started to die back. I just thought it was of old age, but it turns out that there is something that is getting the blue spruce. They're all dying, and this one is no exception. That is a waste of time and money. There's not much you can do going to have to plant a different species there. Now, my Garrettsville friend Mike helped me plant this dogwood. There was another dogwood here, and that also gets a blight. It gets the powdery mildew and other things. Now, I've been spraying this with the bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate, and it's done pretty well. You can see there's some leaves that have wilted, or maybe I haven't been as diligent as quickly as I should have, but for the most part it's pretty good. Some of the leaf loss is just from the summer heat too. The herb garden this year doesn't look too impressive, but I'll tell you what's been going on. We got some thyme is starting to grow and some cilantro. Hopefully that'll keep going so we can get some pico de gallo. I transplanted the basil plants down here because up here I have replanted the garlic. We talked about the garlic before. This is going to become the garlic patch out here. Probably enlarge it next year. But I moved some of these over here so I could get those planted because they needed to be planted now. Summer savory, we'll see. And the sage plant that I've got some drying right now. So next year, hopefully this will just be all full of garlic, which was just wonderful. I rototilled all this up. It was pretty compacted, so hopefully it'll do okay. Now here's something a little interesting. The asparagus patch, I think as we've talked many times, the male plants are what you want. They're more productive, but there's always a few female plants in here, and this is what you can tell. There's a female plant. Here are the seeds of the asparagus. I think asparagus is its own plural, not asparagi or asparaguses. So when these things mature, they turn into those red berries that are actually the seeds. And you can see there's a couple of the plants in here that are female. Mostly are male, but you still get stuff, you just don't get as much. The peppers have really liked August. They love August hot. And we are getting some of the very cherished and delicious green chilies. And some of those are about ready to pick, I think. What else is down here? Well, some shishito peppers, finally, that we'll be able to start enjoying, finally. And you can see some of my deer buddies came by and chomped off some of these, which they didn't bother them last year, but boy, they bothered them this year. I've got some jalapenos down here, again ready for salsa and pico de gallo, and a whole lot of green chilies coming, and I can't wait. So, oh, and these are the onions. Now, for whatever reason, these guys just keep growing themselves out of the soil. I keep burying them, and they keep popping up. So, I don't know how much bigger they're going to get, but kind of like the garlic, when these leaves start dying back, they're done. I think that guy might be done right there. I don't think he's going to get any bigger. Standing in the middle of the garden, kind of looking at the highlight of the tomatoes, you can see the 4th of Julys are really coming on. It's going to be hard to out-eat them. And this one is a Brandywine. Now, you can see I was probably not quite diligent enough. Some of the leaves here have that fungus. Most of them have been saved, but you've got to keep on top of it. Everything up here that's new and been sprayed with the bicarbonate is okay. Just a few that are succumbing. Down here we have these are the Salsa Tomatoes. They're huge and they're really, really good. So hopefully those will ripen nicely before the cold weather hits. I think they will. And here was some more of the Brandywines down here. And we're going to be up to our knees in tomatoes here real soon. This is where some of the green beans were. They were done, so I have pulled those out. And these are the last of the Blue Lake green beans. And I got one more picking, which I will do after we're done with this video. And then those will come out. Now, one of your pro tips that you want to do is you want to get a good weed removal tool. Everybody thinks farmers should have a hoe, but this is what I use. I don't even know what you call this. This was inherited from my parents, but this you can get underneath. It just chops the weeds right off, and you can do a big area pretty darn quick. So get yourself a good weed removal tool, which, like I said, this is my favorite. It's about 30 years old. I don't even know what you call it. Okay, so got the beans, got the tomatoes, the kale. My goodness, what a mistake. I think I need a different variety. It just got so big so fast. The cucumbers, you say, well, these look ugly. I thought you said that the bicarbonate would save them. These are just at the end of the line. They are done. There's very few flowers left. They have done their thing, and cucumbers are just about done. They were, like I said, okay, not our favorite variety. Squash is doing what squash does, which is just keeping the weeds down and putting these little guys out. I've probably got about 8 or 10 in here that are going to mature. This one, I don't know if it'll make it or not. They're not the fastest growing. I got some pole beans coming up here. They sure took their time getting this big. But we have enough green beans, as you'll see a little bit later on. I just did this kind of as a whim. And here's our one pumpkin. And I'd say that's about as big as it's going to get. We'll let it ripen. Tomatillas are growing into their little lanterns. Not as much as last year. Cleome, that's what this is called, Cleome. I thought this was a tomatilla. I transplanted over here. Turns out it was a Cleome, but it does like it, and it's doing pretty well. So it's colorful, doesn't hurt anything. I just kind of left it. I think there is another pumpkin here. Yeah, I got one more. But, so, I don't know. I might get another one. And other than the beans and the tomatoes, everything is going to be pretty much on a glide path now until the end of September. That's when things start needing to be put up and folded away.